Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. Thanks for watching the videos. Remember to like them if you're finding them helpful, and why not subscribe if you haven't already. So in today's video I want to talk about your OCD diagnosis and what next, because it can be quite a scary time when we get the actual diagnosis of OCD. Maybe you've had it for some time, maybe you've had certain behaviours that you've carried out, certain rituals, and you've not actually put everything together and worked out that you've actually got OCD, because sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's just something we do and we don't actually connect the dots and realise it's actually OCD we're suffering from. And for me, I had OCD for many years before I actually really worked out what was going on. And I did work out for myself what was going on. I didn't have a formal diagnosis till I was really in my 20s. So it was quite a long period of time, because I started suffering from this when I was 5 years old. So for anyone out there that may have just suddenly, had that OCD diagnosis and they're like, well, what does this mean for me? How is this going to impact my life? Sometimes I can look back and think, I wish I'd done things differently, but that's the benefit of hindsight, but you can't change how we've done things. We can learn from things we've done, and I can pass on that knowledge to you guys, and that's what I hope I can do with these videos, because I think for myself, I really feel like OCD limited my life for such a long time, and I think I really attached myself to that label of OCD and the fact that I couldn't do certain things because of the disorder I was suffering from. Whereas, and I think that goes for a lot of things these days, I think we can really attach ourselves to a label, and we can really then, unintentionally, we don't always mean to do it, but we can really limit our lives and shy away from things that we think maybe would trigger ourselves, or we think we can't do anymore because of our mental health diagnosis, such as OCD. I didn't do things like learn to drive a car when it's something I really wished I had done, and there's nothing stopping me doing that now that I feel I'm a lot better and I've for most part healed from OCD. But there's certain things I think where I limited my life. I didn't go maybe to social events and things because maybe I was scared of contamination, or saying something, blurting something out, or putting myself in an uncomfortable situation which could trigger off an intrusive thought, for example. There's certain things I didn't do because of OCD. And I would hate anyone out there now to get that diagnosis, because it is such an isolating time, because a lot of people don't really understand it. They don't really understand the ins and outs of it and how it affects someone. And for me, I do feel like that label for quite some time, especially when I got my formal diagnosis, I thought I couldn't do certain things. And I really hope that doesn't happen to other people out there. I really hope people can understand that you can get better from this. And it's not easy. It takes time and patience, and it can be done. It shouldn't feel like you've got this diagnosis of OCD and that, well, that's my life now. You kind of write yourself off, or, it feels like a life sentence that this is something you're always going to have to live with. And that's just not the case. There are amazing therapies out there now that can help people to live a normal life and function normally again, because when it really takes hold, OCD, it's devastating. And that's a place I've found myself on more than one occasion. I really feel like I've been at rock bottom on more than one time, and it's a terrible place to be, and it's not somewhere I'd wish anyone else to go there. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, because it's a really frightening place. But I think I wish I'd realised that it wasn't just a label and that was my life now. I really wish I'd pushed myself in certain situations. And I know that's, like I say, with the benefit of hindsight, and you can look back and think, well, I should have done this, I should have done that. And it's not always helpful, that, because, we're not living in the moment, and that's where we should be living. We should be living in the present. And also you can become obsessive over past events. But if I could say this to to anyone now that's got this diagnosis is just to remember that, don't just think that this label you've got now as being an OCD sufferer is your life. There are treatments, whether it's exposure response prevention, CBT or ICBT, metacognitive therapy, which is definitely something I champion because it's really got me to heal and get past the intrusive thoughts, the compulsions, all those rituals and that behaviour that I've displayed for a large portion of my life. In fact, 40 years of my life, and I'm 45 now, so it's something I've had for a long time. And there's been definitely periods of time in that span of those span of years that I have been well and I have functioned, I would consider just normally, whatever that is. But with an OCD diagnosis, just remember there are ways to actually heal, and when we put the work in, that's the way we're going to do it. Unfortunately, it's not an easy way out. It's not a quick fix. And it's just like any behaviour that we change, it takes time. And I think it's important to remember that because, and it does take ourselves, and I'm not blaming anyone in this situation. Having OCD is no one's fault. Anyone that has it out there, it's not your fault. And we're wired differently, and that's going to take time to heal and actually get better, because we have to change a lot of our behaviours, and that's no quick fix. It really isn't. And you will find sometimes you have setbacks, and I don't want to blame anyone, and this is certainly not blaming or shaming anyone that struggles to do the work, because that is a place I found myself for a long time, that I just kind of accepted that this was me, this was my life. I have OCD, and there's certain things I can't do for fear of being triggered, or fear of the next intrusive thought, fear of the next obsession that I would have. I'd certainly limit my life in a lot of ways. But you don't need to do that. If we can just change the way we approach this, and this is something I think we hear more about now, but we don't have to live by that label anymore. We don't have to, accept that as our fate. It's just the fact that, yes, we do suffer from OCD, and I suffer from OCD, but as the saying goes, I might have OCD, but OCD doesn't have me. I do suffer from it. And now I look at those challenges as opportunities to heal and get better. So, recently, I've been going through a rough patch because I had a particular obsession, intrusive thought that just was just going whirring round. It's starting to do the whole looping of rumination and trying to figure out, and it was all revolving around a real event. And as soon as I remembered what I need to do in that situation, I could get back on track and realise that this isn't going to last forever, because in the moment when you're really going through it, it can feel like this is it. This is my life now. How am I ever going to stop thinking about this? How am I ever going to stop obsessing over it? But the thing is, it's the pattern of our behaviour that actually keeps it going. And this is so important in your recovery, because if we can just break that cycle and let those thoughts be there, and that is how we do it. We don't push anything away. We let those thoughts be there. The compulsions, the rituals, they can be all like this. Like, if you do this one more compulsion, you're going to be safe. You're going to feel better. But really, that's a lie. That is just OCD trying to trick you back into the cycle and keep you there. That's OCD's ultimate gain, is to keep you stuck in that cycle. And we don't need to be there. We can come up against it and say, no more. We don't have to do this. And there's certain ways of doing that. And if we can follow the right treatment and get the right help, we can definitely achieve healing from OCD and anxiety. But it's just following the thing that actually does work, because a lot of the time we can think we're doing it, but we're not doing it. we're not doing it right. And it's so subtle as well. Like I said, keep letting the thought be there. But we can actually be challenging it in our head and trying to work everything out, or like I say, doing that one more compulsion, one more ritual that we think will actually make it all right. And it doesn't, because that's just a lie that OCD will play to try and keep you where it wants you, which is doing all the compulsions, the rituals, the figuring out, trying to analyze and come to some kind of conclusion or certainty. And it's not an easy process, because it's going to feel uncomfortable at times. You're going to feel a rise in our anxiety levels and our maybe panic or, uncomfortable sensations in the body. We're going to feel that while we're getting better. But you're doing it right. If you get those feelings, you're actually doing the right things to heal and get better. Because, we feel uncomfortable when we have an obsession, an intrusive thought, for example. We can feel all those horrible negative emotions, but why don't we feel those horrible negative emotions when we're actually healing, rather than being stuck in, the loop of OCD and the whole cycle of OCD? We're going to feel that while we're healing. We may as well do it there. We may as well feel those uncomfortable emotions while we're actually getting better. And it takes time to build that tolerance to, sitting with those uncomfortable feelings. And it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel, it's going to feel like the easy way out to just follow the obsession or the compulsion. But when we do that, we're taking a back step again. We're back into the cycle and back into the grips of OCD. And that's going to happen. It's not a straight path to getting better, but you can do it. So if you have that new diagnosis of OCD, maybe you've had it for some time now, and maybe you've just kind of thought, well, that's my life now. Maybe you felt like that. That's where I was for many years. I just felt like, that's my identity. We can really build an identity towards it, and it just becomes us. We become OCD. It's all we know, and we don't feel really that there is anywhere to go from there. We really do feel like we're stuck. But it's not the case. It really isn't. And that is my advice to you. Looking back on my 40 years of OCD, that would be my advice, and what kind of knowledge I would want to pass on to anyone now suffering is that you 100% can heal from this. Again, you might have OCD, but it doesn't have you. We can really turn the tables on it and show OCD who's boss. And that's my job now. That's all I need to do, because it doesn't need to be a life sentence. So I hope this video has helped you see that it's not the end of the road with OCD. It's not just your whole life going forward. You can heal, you can get better. And I hope this video has helped you to see that. I will see you in the next video.